The first sign that Victoria Hamilton's wedding was about to collapse was not a scream. It was her phone. It rang once while she stood under the gold lights, smiling beside her new husband like the whole room had been built to admire her. It rang again while Bradley leaned close, whispering something that made her laugh. It rang a third time, sharp enough to cut through the music, the glasses, and the soft applause of people pretending they were not watching each other's money. Victoria looked down. For 1 second, her smile stayed perfect. Then it disappeared. I saw it from across the ballroom, standing near the edge with a warm glass of champagne in my hand and my name still bleeding from the joke she had made earlier. No one else understood yet. My father was still talking to Bradley's uncle, one hand tucked into his jacket like he had finally been accepted into the kind of family he had always admired. My mother was smiling too hard at people she wanted to impress. Bradley's parents were near the stage, polished and quiet. Investors stood by the bar, calm as stone. Victoria pressed the phone to her ear. "What do you mean withdrawn?" she said. The words were not loud. But they were sharp. A few heads turned. Bradley's smile froze. Victoria turned away from the dance floor, gathering her dress in one shaking hand. "No," she said. "That can't be right. We have an agreement." I took one small sip of champagne. It tasted flat. 3 hours earlier, my sister had stood with a microphone in that same ballroom and told 200 people that I was the reason she had worked so hard. Not because I had inspired her. Because, in her words, I was what happened when talent had no direction. The wedding was never just a wedding. It was a message. Victoria had married Bradley Hamilton at the Hamilton Grand Hotel, under crystal lights and white roses, in front of doctors, investors, family friends, and people who used smiles like business cards. The tables were covered in gold-rimmed plates. The menus had their names printed in silver. Even the cake looked less like dessert and more like proof. Proof that Victoria had arrived. Proof that our parents had raised a winner. Proof that she was everything I was not. I had arrived in a navy dress. Simple. Clean. Quiet. My mother noticed before she hugged me. "Rachel, darling," she said, her eyes moving over my sleeves. "You look comfortable." That was her word when she wanted to say cheap. "Thank you, Mom." She touched my shoulder lightly. "Victoria could have helped you find something more fitting. This is a very important room." "I know what room I'm in." Her smile stayed soft, but her eyes hardened. "I only don't want you feeling out of place." "I'm used to it." She looked away before the sentence could land. My father came over next. He kissed my cheek and said, "Good to see you, sweetheart," in the tired voice people use when they love you, but have stopped expecting anything from you. Then Victoria entered. The whole room shifted. She moved like applause belonged to her before anyone gave it. Her white dress trailed behind her. Her smile never shook. She hugged our mother, then our father, then Bradley's parents, then every person whose opinion could add value to her life. When she reached me, she kissed the air beside my cheek. "Rachel," she said. "You made it." I said I would. "I know." Her eyes moved over my dress. "I just wasn't sure you'd feel comfortable tonight." There it was again. Comfortable. As if my discomfort would prove I did not belong. "I'm happy for you," I said. "That's sweet," she replied. Then she was gone, pulled into photos and congratulations, back to the bright center of the room where my family had kept her for years. I stayed near the walls. That had become my assigned place. Victoria in the center. Rachel at the edge. It had not always been that way. When we were little, Victoria used to help me with homework at the kitchen table. She would draw boxes around numbers and explain them slowly until I stopped feeling stupid. She used to save me the last cookie. She used to walk beside me when older girls laughed at my shoes. Then school rankings came. Then awards. Then our father started saying things like, "Victoria knows where she's going," and our mother started saying, "Rachel is still finding herself," with that sad smile that made people pity me before they knew me. Love in our house became a scoreboard. Victoria learned how to win. I learned how quiet a person could become and still survive. I finished most of business school, then left before the final certificate. I walked away from a consulting job my father bragged about at dinners. I moved downtown into a small apartment and stopped explaining myself after every family meal became a performance review. They called it drifting. They called it wasting potential. They called it a phase. No one called it building. Across the ballroom, Victoria floated from guest to guest, collecting admiration like flowers. Bradley watched her with proud ownership. My parents watched her like she had paid back every sacrifice they had ever made. Then the band lowered the music, and the speeches began. Victoria thanked Bradley first. Then his parents. Then investors, mentors, and everyone who believed in my vision from the beginning. I almost smiled at that. Because not one person in that room knew where the first real rescue had come from. Then she turned toward our parents. "Dad," she said, voice soft, "you taught me that success is discipline." My father lifted his glass. "Mom, you taught me grace under pressure." My mother pressed her fingers to her lips. Victoria paused. Her eyes found me. "And Rachel," she said. People turned. I stood at the edge of the room, still holding my champagne. Victoria smiled like she was about to give me a gift. My little sister taught me something too. She taught me what happens when talent has no direction. A few people laughed. Not loudly at first. Just enough. She kept going. Every time I was tired, every time I wanted to quit, every time building my company felt impossible, I remembered I never wanted to become someone who almost succeeded. Her glass tilted toward me. "So thank you, Rachel, for being my reminder." The laughter grew. My father did not laugh. But he did not stop her. My mother looked down at her plate. Bradley's mother gave a careful smile. Bradley's father studied Victoria with a colder look. The investors near the bar became still. I raised my glass. Not because I accepted the insult. Because I had learned that if you let cruel people see blood, they start calling it honesty. Victoria moved on, as if she had given a loving toast. "Family keeps us humble," she said. The room clapped. And something inside me went completely still. There are moments when anger does not burn. It freezes. It becomes clean. It becomes useful. At 9:56 p.m., I walked out to the balcony. The city below the hotel was full of lights. Cars moved like thin gold threads between towers. Behind me, through the glass doors, the ballroom glowed with flowers and music and the soft pride of people who believed they were safe. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Quarterly numbers finalized. Singapore partners confirmed for Monday. First National needs approval before moving on Protocol 7. I read the message twice. The timing was mine. I typed back. Wait for my call. His reply came immediately. Understood. Marcus never asked unnecessary questions. That was one reason I trusted him. The balcony door opened behind me. My father stepped out, loosening his tie. There you are, he said. Your mother wants another family photo. I'll come in. He did not leave. For a moment, we both watched Victoria through the glass. She was laughing with Bradley's cousins now, one hand on his arm, her diamond ring flashing every time she moved. My father sighed. Your sister went too far with the speech. I turned slightly. It was the closest thing to defense he had offered all night. Then he ruined it. But you know Victoria. She gets emotional. She probably didn't mean it the way it sounded. She meant every word. Rachel. There was the warning. Not loud. Not angry. Just the old voice that told me to be smaller because tonight belonged to someone else. This is her wedding night, he said. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. I didn't make the speech. No, but you can choose how to react to it. I looked at him. For years, that had been the family rule. Victoria could wound. I could choose not to bleed. She has worked hard, he continued. She built something real. Pressure changes people. Does it? Yes. His voice softened, which hurt more than anger. And maybe if you had stayed with your career longer, you would understand. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because after all these years, he still thought the story ended where he stopped watching. You think I left because I couldn't handle pressure? I think you had opportunities, he said. Your mother and I wanted more for you. I wanted more for me too. Then let Victoria help you. After the honeymoon, maybe she can find you something at Hamilton Industries. Nothing big. But a start. A start. The word sat between us. Through the glass, I saw Hamilton Industries printed on small gift boxes near the tables. Clean black letters. Expensive. Confident. My money had carried that name through 3 years of growth. My money had opened offices Victoria posed inside. My money had paid for the team she bragged about. And my father was telling me to ask her for a start. I'll think about it, I said. He seemed relieved. That hurt in a different way. When we returned inside, the room felt brighter than before. Too bright. Victoria found me near the dessert table, holding a fork she did not use. No hard feelings about the speech, right? She asked. I looked at her. She gave a small laugh. I know it sounded sharp, but you understand branding. Well, maybe not branding exactly. But you understand how people talk. My investors were here. Bradley's family was here. I needed them to understand my story. Your story needed me to be small? Her smile thinned. Don't be dramatic. Everyone knows your situation. My situation. Rachel. She sighed, almost kindly. You left your job. You never finished the degree. You live in that little apartment. People talk because they care. No. People talk because it entertains them. Her eyes flashed. I was trying to include you. In what? In my success. She leaned closer. After the honeymoon, I can probably find you a role. Office coordination, maybe. I can't promise much, but my name attached to yours could help. My name is attached to more than you think. She laughed once. Soft. Cruel. That's exactly what I mean. You still talk like some grand reveal is coming. Life is not a movie, Rachel. At some point, you have to become useful. Bradley called her from across the room. Victoria touched my arm, her diamond cold against my skin. Don't be upset. Family is family. Even when some of us carry more of the weight. She walked away before I could answer. My phone buzzed again. Protocol 7 ready. First National standing by. I stepped into a quiet corner near the windows and called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. Rachel? Begin Protocol 7. His voice stayed steady. Full divestment? Full. Hamilton Industries and attached subsidiary accounts. Use Section 7. Ethics and Dignity Clause. Understood. No press tonight, I said. Let the contract speak first. Of course. I ended the call. Behind me, Victoria was laughing again. She had no idea the ground under her company had just started moving. For the next half hour, I became exactly what my family expected. Quiet. Polite. Forgettable. I stood in photos where my mother placed me near the edge. I answered questions without explaining too much. I smiled when relatives gave me pity dressed as advice. I watched investors check their phones. I watched Bradley's father speak quietly to David Chen from Wellington Capital. At 12:03 a.m., my phone buzzed. Marcus again. Divestment complete. First National has notified executive contacts. Operational capital estimated at 8 weeks. Wellington may pause Series B. I read the message once. Then I placed my phone back into my clutch. Across the ballroom, Victoria's phone rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. This time everyone heard it. She answered with an annoyed smile, probably expecting one more important person calling to congratulate her. The smile died before she spoke. What do you mean withdrawn? The music kept playing for a few seconds. Then someone lowered the volume. Victoria turned her back to the room, but panic travels faster than sound. No, she said. Bellarive can't just. She stopped. Her hand gripped the back of a chair. Bradley moved toward her. My father noticed next. Then my mother. Then the investors. The whispers began in small, hungry pieces. Business call? On her wedding night? Did she say Bellarive? At that name, David Chen took out his phone. Victoria walked toward the hallway, but her dress slowed her. Bradley followed, one hand at her back, his face already changing from husband to risk manager. My father looked across the room and found me. I held his gaze for 1 second. Then looked away. Victoria came back pale beneath her makeup. Not nervous. Not embarrassed. Pale like someone had opened a door under her feet. Dad, she said, her voice breaking. Something's wrong. He hurried to her. What happened? The investor, she whispered. The anonymous one. Bellarive Holdings. Bradley's jaw tightened. What about them? Victoria swallowed. They pulled out. My mother pressed a hand to her chest. Pulled out of what? Victoria looked like the words were too heavy. The company. All of it. Bradley spoke quietly. How much exposure? Victoria did not answer. Victoria, he said. How much? Her lips barely moved. 47 million. The number moved through the ballroom like a cold wind. 47 million. David Chen approached, phone in hand. Victoria, he said carefully, if Belleroph's withdrawal is confirmed, Wellington cannot proceed with the series beyond her current terms. This is a misunderstanding, Victoria said. Maybe. But until it is resolved, we pause. Pause, she repeated. My mother stepped forward, as if matters could stop money from leaving. Surely this can wait until tomorrow. It's her wedding night. David did not blink. Capital does not care what night it is. Victoria flinched. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered the microphone. My father's silence. The laughter that followed my name. My phone rang. Unknown number. But I knew who it was. I moved toward the windows and answered. Ms. Monroe, said a calm male voice. This is James Whitfield from First National. I apologize for the late call. No apology needed, James. Across the room, my father looked toward me. James continued, the withdrawal is complete. Hamilton Industries has received notice. The board at Bellereve wants confirmation. Should the funds return to the main holding account? Yes. Very good. Mrs. Victoria Hamilton has already contacted our office twice. She is requesting the identity of Bellereve's controlling authority. I looked at my sister. Her wedding dress had spread around her chair like a broken white circle. Bradley stood behind her, but his eyes were on the investors. Do not release that yet, I said. Understood. Would you like further action tonight? My father was walking toward me now. Yes, I said softly. Stay available. Of course, Ms. Monroe. I ended the call just as my father reached me. He looked at my phone, then at my face. For the first time all night, he did not sound disappointed. He sounded afraid. Rachel, he said slowly, what kind of work do you actually do? Behind him, Victoria lifted her head. Her eyes locked on mine. And across the ballroom, her phone began ringing again. For a moment, no one moved. My father's question stayed between us like a glass about to fall. What kind of work do you actually do? It was the first honest question he had asked me in years. Not why did you quit? Not when will you get serious? Not why can't you be more like your sister? Just what? Victoria answered the ringing phone without taking her eyes off me. Yes, she said, forcing calm into her voice. This is Victoria Hamilton. Her hand tightened around the phone. No, I understand privacy policies, but I am the CEO. I have a right to know who authorized this. Bradley leaned close. Ask how to reinstate the funds. Victoria covered the phone with one hand. There is no reinstatement if they won't tell me who I'm dealing with. Her eyes stayed fixed on me. The ballroom had gone quiet in pieces. First the music faded. Then the conversations died. Then even the servers stopped moving between tables. Everyone could feel that something bigger than a business call was happening. My mother came up beside my father, pearls clenched between her fingers. Rachel, she whispered. What is going on? I did not answer yet. Victoria ended the call. She stood very still, phone at her side, white dress gathered around her like a storm cloud. For one small second, she did not look like the golden daughter. She looked like the girl from our kitchen table, The one who once taught me fractions with blue pencil marks. Then fear turned into anger. She crossed the room fast. "What did you do?" she asked. Her voice was low. "I placed my champagne glass on the nearest table. I attended your wedding. Don't play with me." "I'm not." First National said the controlling authority requested privacy. She stepped closer. "Then I see you taking a call, and a man calls you Ms. Monroe." That name moved through the guests like a match in dry grass. Ms. Monroe. My mother's face lost color. "Rachel," she said. "Explain this." I almost smiled. They had spent years not wanting explanations from me. Now the whole room needed one. I opened my clutch, took out my phone, and dialed James. He answered before the first ring finished. "Ms. Monroe." The room changed at those two words. A glass lowered. David Chen looked up sharply. Bradley took half a step back. I turned on speaker. "James," I said, "I am with Mrs. Victoria Hamilton, Mr. Bradley Hamilton, and several members of both families. Please confirm the controlling owner of Bellerive Holdings." "Certainly," James said. Bellerive Holdings is privately owned by Rachel Elizabeth Monroe. Ms. Monroe is the founder, managing director, and final decision maker for all active investment positions. No one spoke. Not Victoria. Not my parents. Not the guests who had laughed at my name less than an hour before. James continued, clear and practical. The divestment from Hamilton Industries was authorized by Ms. Monroe under Section 7, Paragraph 3 of the investment agreement. The action was completed at 12:03 a.m. "Thank you, James," I said. "Of course, Ms. Monroe." I ended the call. The silence afterward was heavier than applause. Victoria stared at me like I had become a stranger wearing her sister's face. "No," she said. It was not anger yet. It was prayer. "No. You don't own Bellerive." "I do." "You can't." "I can. You live in that little apartment." "I like that apartment." "You drive that old car." "It starts every morning." Someone in the crowd gave a nervous laugh and quickly stopped. David Chen did not laugh. Neither did Bradley. My father looked at me as if he was seeing the shape of a life he had refused to notice. "How?" he asked. That question should have come years ago. "How did you survive? How did you pay rent? How did you become so calm? How did we miss you?" But his voice carried only shock. So I gave him the shortest truth. When I left consulting, I started investing privately. Small deals first. Companies banks ignored. Founders with good ideas and no one patient enough to listen. One deal became another. Then I formed Bellerive. My mother blinked quickly. "But you never told us. You never asked to know. You asked when I would get a real job." Her face folded. Victoria gripped the back of a chair. 3 years ago, she said slowly. "My Series A." "Yes." "You were the anonymous investor." "Yes." "You put $47 million into my company." "I put money into a company with potential." "Mine." "Yours happened to be attached to it." She flinched. I did not say it to hurt her. It was simply true. 3 years earlier, Hamilton Industries had been promising. The product worked. The numbers were strong. Victoria was arrogant, but she was not foolish. I had read the proposal at 2 in the morning, alone in my office, and for 1 hour I forgot the sister who had stopped inviting me to things. I remembered the girl who once sat beside me at the kitchen table. I remembered her saying, "Don't worry. I'll explain until it makes sense." So I invested. Not because she had earned my trust. Because the company had earned a chance. And maybe, somewhere inside me, I still hoped success would make her generous. It did not. Victoria shook her head. Why hide it? To keep the company from becoming a family battlefield. You let me believe I did it alone. No, I said. You chose to believe that because it made a better story. Her face reddened. Bradley spoke carefully. And the clause? I looked at him. Now he was not speaking to the failed sister. He was speaking to the person with control. The dignity clause allowed Bellerive to withdraw if a principal caused public reputational harm to Bellerive or its controlling representative. Victoria laughed once. I didn't know you were the representative. You did not need to know who I was to know cruelty was wrong. It was a joke. No, I said. A joke is shared. That was a performance. She looked around, searching for someone to save her from the sentence. No one did. David Chen's voice was calm. Victoria, did your counsel review that agreement? Bradley answered before she could. They did. Then if the clause is written that way, David said, there is likely no quick legal remedy. Victoria turned on him. You're taking her side? I'm taking the contract's side. That sentence did more damage than shouting could have. Victoria had always believed rooms would bend toward her. But contracts do not care who is wearing white. My father stepped forward. Rachel, you can't do this to your sister. I looked at him. I didn't do this to her. You pulled the money. She broke the agreement. She didn't know. She didn't need to know I was powerful to treat me like a person. His mouth closed. My mother's eyes filled. Whatever happened between you girls, she whispered, this is too much. Whatever happened. As if it had been weather. As if years of comparisons, missed calls, pitying looks, and public jokes had simply appeared by accident. I know you think this started tonight, I said. It didn't. The room leaned in. It started when Dad called Victoria driven and called me sensitive. It started when Mom said not everyone was built to lead. It started when my life became a family joke before anyone knew what I was building. And tonight, when she used my name to make herself look bigger, everyone let her. My father looked down. My mother covered her mouth. Victoria's eyes were bright with anger, but she said nothing. You clapped, I said. Because it was easier than asking if it was cruel. The words landed softly. That made them worse. Victoria stepped closer. Fine, she said. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the speech. I'm sorry you felt embarrassed. Is that what you want? I watched her face. Once, I would have taken any apology she offered and carried it like food. Not now. That apology is for your company, I said. Not for me. Her lips trembled. My company has 8 weeks of capital, she whispered. People will lose jobs. I know. Then undo it. No. The word was quiet. Clean. Final. Bradley leaned toward her. Victoria, listen. She spun around. Don't tell me to listen while my life is falling apart. His expression hardened. Your life is not the only life attached to this. My family's name is attached now too. There it was. Not love. Risk. Victoria heard it. Her face changed in a way I recognized. Everyone stands near you when you shine. When you dim, they begin measuring distance. I knew that feeling better than she did. That was why my next words were not cruel. There is a reinstatement path. Victoria froze. Bradley turned quickly. What? I reached into my clutch and took out a folded document Marcus had prepared before the wedding. I had not planned to use it unless the night became exactly what it had become. I placed it on the table between us. Section 12, I said. If Hamilton Industries completes corrective action within 30 days, Bellerive may consider limited reinvestment. Bradley picked up the paper and read fast. Public correction of false statements. Written acknowledgement of investor contribution. Independent ethics review. Revised leadership policy. Direct apology to the injured party. Victoria looked at me. You want me to humiliate myself? No, I said. I want you to tell the truth in the same room where you used a lie. Her lips parted. You told these people I was your warning story. You let investors believe you built everything alone. You allowed our family to treat my life like an empty room. If you want Bellerive to even consider returning, correct it publicly. My mother whispered, tonight? I looked at Victoria. That is her choice. The ballroom waited. There are moments when a person can still step away from the worst version of themselves. They are usually not loud moments. They arrive without music, without applause, without anyone telling you which path will save your pride. Victoria stood in one of those moments with mascara under her eyes and $47 million missing from her future. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she laughed once. Small. Broken. You planned this. No. You brought the paper. Yes. So you planned it. I prepared for who you might choose to be. That hurt her more than I expected. She looked at our father. He did not meet her eyes. She looked at our mother. Mom was crying silently now. Then Victoria looked at Bradley. He held the paper out. Vic, he said carefully, do it. Not because it was right. Because it was necessary. She understood the difference. Slowly, Victoria took the document and walked to the microphone. Her dress dragged behind her. Earlier, it had made her look royal. Now it only looked heavy. No one clapped. The microphone crackled when she touched it. Victoria looked down at the paper, then up at me. For the first time all night, she did not look polished. She looked human. I need to correct something I said earlier, she began. Her voice shook. She stopped, swallowed, and tried again. During my speech, I made a joke about my sister Rachel. I called her a reminder of failure. The words sounded uglier without laughter around them. A few guests looked away. Victoria gripped the microphone with both hands. That was false, she said. And it was cruel. My father closed his eyes. For years, I let my family believe Rachel had done nothing with her life because it made my own success look brighter. I accepted praise that was not fully mine. I let people call me self-made while the largest investment my company ever received came from Bellerive Holdings. She paused. Her eyes moved to the investors, then Bradley's parents, then our family. Bellerive Holdings is owned by my sister, Rachel Monroe. The truth hit differently when Victoria said it. My company grew because Rachel believed in it when others hesitated, she continued. She protected her identity. I used that silence to make myself look stronger than I was. Her voice cracked. She looked at me. I am sorry, Rachel. Not because I lost the money. Because I used your silence as permission to disrespect you. That was the first true thing she had said to me all night. Not enough. But true. I nodded once. Victoria lowered the microphone. No applause came. It was better that way. Some truths should not be rewarded like performances. They should be allowed to stand. David Chen walked away to make a call. Bradley's father stared at the floor with his jaw tight. Guests began whispering in smaller, careful voices now. The same room that had laughed at me was suddenly afraid to look directly at me. Respect should not require a balance sheet. But sometimes that is the only language certain people understand. My father came to me slowly. He looked older than he had when the night began. Rachel, he said. I didn't know. I waited. I thought you were struggling. You saw what you wanted to see. He nodded, and the small movement carried more shame than any speech. I failed you, he said. My mother stepped beside him. Her face had lost all the perfect softness she wore for guests. We both did, she whispered. Part of me wanted to comfort them. Part of me wanted to say it was all right. But it was not all right. And I was too tired to protect them from the truth. Yes, I said. You did. My mother covered her mouth again. My father's eyes reddened. For once, I did not soften the blow. Victoria returned from the microphone holding the document like it weighed more than her dress. Will you reinvest? She asked. The old Victoria would have demanded. This one asked. That mattered. But not enough to erase everything. Not tonight. Her face fell. You have 30 days, I said. The apology was one step. The rest still matters. Independent review. Employee protection. Leadership changes. A written plan for how the company moves forward without building your image on other people's backs. Bradley frowned. That could dilute current ownership. I looked at him. It will. He closed his mouth. Victoria understood. I won't control everything anymore, she said. No. My board may replace me. Maybe. She absorbed that in silence. A tear slipped down her cheek, but she wiped it away quickly, almost angrily. I thought you wanted to destroy me. If I wanted to destroy you, there would be no Section 12. She stared at me. Why is there? I thought of our kitchen table. Blue pencil. Fractions. Her small hand guiding mine through numbers I hated. Because I remember who you were before you learned to measure people. That broke her. Not loudly. She did not fall or sob for attention. Her face simply folded, and for the first time, she looked ashamed of something deeper than being caught. I don't know how to become that person again, she whispered. You don't go back, I said. You choose better from here. The hotel staff began clearing plates no one had touched. The flowers were still perfect. The light still shone. The cake still stood in the corner, beautiful and half-cut. Everything expensive stayed beautiful for a little while, even when the truth changed the room. I picked up my clutch. My father stepped forward. You're leaving? Yes. We should talk. We can. When? Monday afternoon. Call Marcus. He blinked. Your assistant? Yes. A strange sadness crossed his face. Maybe because he realized a stranger knew how to reach me better than he did. My mother touched my arm gently. This time, she did not inspect my dress. Rachel, will you come to dinner this week? I looked at her hand. Then at her face. Not this week. Pain moved through her eyes, but she nodded. Boundaries sound cruel to people who benefited from you not having them. I turned toward the exit. The guests parted. Earlier that night, they had stepped aside for Victoria. Now they stepped aside for me. Not because I had changed. I had been the same woman when I walked in. They were the ones seeing differently. Outside, the night air touched my face like clean water. A black car waited at the curb. Marcus had arranged it before I entered the ballroom. He knew I preferred quiet exits. He knew power was heaviest when you had to choose not to misuse it. Before I got in, my phone buzzed. Marcus. Everything confirmed. Press inquiries are starting. No statement released. Are you all right? I looked back through the hotel windows. Victoria stood in the center of the ballroom with Bradley beside her, but there was space between them now. My parents sat at a table together, silent. David Chen was still on the phone. Guests moved slowly, as if leaving a room where something sacred had cracked. Was I all right? Not fully. Maybe not for a while. But I was free of something I had carried too long. I typed back. I'm all right. No press tonight. Send Hamilton the checklist at 8 a.m. Marcus replied. Understood. Anything else? I looked up at the hotel sign glowing above me. For years, I had imagined the night my family finally saw me. I thought it would feel loud. Bright. Sweet. It did not. It felt quiet. It felt like setting down a bag of stones and realizing how deeply the handles had cut into your hands. I typed one more message. Block my morning until noon. His answer came quickly. Already done. I smiled faintly and got into the car. As we pulled away, the city slid past in streaks of gold and blue. Behind me, Victoria's perfect wedding ended with half-full glasses, wilted roses, and a truth no one could unhear. I did not know if she would complete the requirements. I did not know if Hamilton Industries would survive. I did not know if my parents would learn how to love without comparing. But I knew this. I had not destroyed my sister. I had only removed myself from the lie that kept her standing taller than she was. That is the part people often misunderstand about karma. It does not always arrive as fire. Sometimes it arrives as a contract clause no one respected. Sometimes it arrives as a phone call at midnight. Sometimes it arrives as the quiet person in the corner finally letting the truth do what anger never could. By the time I reached my apartment, the sky had begun to pale at the edges. My building had no marble lobby. No chandeliers. No valet waiting with white gloves. But when I opened my door, the silence inside belonged to me. On the entry table sat an old photo of Victoria and me as children. I had almost thrown it away many times. In it, she was missing a front tooth, and I was holding a math worksheet between us. We were both laughing. For years, that picture hurt because it proved something had been lost. Tonight, it felt different. It proved something real had once existed. Maybe that was enough reason to leave a door unlocked, but not wide open. Enough reason to offer a path, but not carry someone down it. Enough reason to remember love, but not confuse it with permission. My phone buzzed again. Victoria. No long message. No excuse. Only 7 words. I forgot who you were to me. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed back. Start remembering with the people who work for you. I sent it and placed the phone face down. Outside my window, morning spread slowly over the city. Soon people would call it a business scandal. They would talk about Bellarive, Hamilton Industries, and the bride whose empire almost fell on her wedding night. But they would be wrong. It was not just business. It was a family story. It was about what happens when love becomes a scoreboard. When success becomes a costume. When quiet is mistaken for weakness because people have never seen strength without an audience. For years, my family believed I was the cautionary tale. Maybe I was. But not in the way Victoria meant. I was the warning that the person you mock today may be the person who once protected you in silence. I was the proof that borrowed power always comes due. And I was the reminder that real success is not the room applauding when you enter. It is being able to leave that room with your dignity intact, your hands clean, and your heart finally lighter than it was when you walked in.